dead. I'm still very much alive, and I'm still here. All right, I will pretty much resume my regular content. I'm anticipating maybe another month before I do, so just an FYI for those of you that are sticking around, thank you. All right, for this reading, I don't typically ever, actually, I've never done collective readings, just an FYI. So I am taking this idea from Soul Source Tarot, although doing a collective read is really not anything original, or yeah, it's not original, but I don't do them on this channel. So please just bear in mind it is what it is, and it's whoever is supposed to hear the story. All right. So I did start this video, and I was kind of everything was going to plan, and then I had something like a scratch in my throat or something like that, and I couldn't talk. So I just ended the stream and restarted over. But how this is going to work essentially is we're going to um, figure out what the theme is of this read, and then we're going to pull a couple cards after that and just build a story from there. All right. Now, given that I already started this video once before, we've got Ace of Swords and going to the Star in Reverse as the theme. And this is going to be for somebody out there that is essentially needing a new way of seeing things. The Star in Reverse is a potent card when it's reversed because it does talk about a wish flushed down the drain, but it also talks about a perception. Why would somebody have a perception like that? It's most likely if you're the type of person that has gone through a lot of difficult, tough situations. All right? Situations that are negative or impactful like that oftentimes can crush the living shit out of a dream, right? Now, I understand that most people in general probably don't go through life trying to be an NBA player or being the president or something like significant like that. Most people just have a dream of wanting to have a family. It could be a good social group of friends. It could be like having a great career job, being wealthy, traveling the world. I don't know what that is for you, but at some point in time, depending on who you are, life obviously comes down to you. And generally, the idea is for you to learn lessons, grow, and hopefully you don't repeat the same mistake. But not all of us do that, right? And so when you get stuck in those cycles that can be vicious, you can end up sometimes in very unfavorable situations, feeling like you're trapped, stuck, and it's just that constant barrage of feeling like someone's beating you on your head. Um, you can take a lot of blows and a lot of punches, but at some point you're gonna collapse. It's just inevitable. You can't obviously go forever. Even that Energizer Bunny, that pink one that jumps around all, I don't know for those of you that are probably in your 30s like I am. I'm 35 now, so I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. But for those of you around my age, you probably remember that pink Energizer Bunny. That battery in the back, no matter how powerful it is, it's gonna run out at some point. After enough jumping around like it's on crack, right? The star in reverse can be a consequence of ignoring past patterns, negative behaviors. And for some people, this is kind of like that constant exposure to toxic situations that eventually just cripples and crushes any type of dream. If that's you, you really have to ask yourself, how does that impact your thinking, right? What is that going to do? Is that going to uplift your thinking, or is it probably going to crush it? In my books, it's going to crush it, which is why this is coming out. This oftentimes with this card can talk about a couple categories, but most significant would be the process of thinking what you don't know. So if you've always done things a certain way, or you've got stuck in a pattern of doing things one way, it's going to challenge you to do something different. And why that's hard is because the average person's going to say it's impossible because I've already done it all. This one experience I had 2 years ago, well, you weren't there. And it explains everything. And I know everything because of it. Do you? Yeah, 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 I do. Okay. Well, you be the judge of that, but it's suggesting here per the tarot you don't. So this can be an example of that. Not knowing something that would be beneficial or would help you to grow as a person or get you out of a bind or a situation. All right. It's not that you're not intelligent. It's not that you're not smart. Yeah. Just the way things have kind of panned out could be impeding or impacting your ability to make the effective decisions you need. So consider that. The other thing is talking about truth. Do you recognize what is true? An example of this is people that are in situations with people especially romantic partners that are beyond toxic, right? They have no interest. These are the types of people that will look at you and they just want to basically you're an object almost, you know. There's no value to you. They'll tell you, sell you whatever story you want, and it's always because of their own gain, their own self-worth issues and stuff like that might be a thing on why that's going on, or past history traumas, all that stuff. But listen, it's not your problem to fix that shit, right? At the end of the day, everyone on this earth has a choice on how you show up, all right? And it's either good or it's bad, all right? And none of us are perfect, make no mistake. But how you treat another person is, you could be, like I said, a depressed person or miserable with life and everything, but at the end of the day, doesn't give you permission to go and treat someone like shit, right? So this is kind of calling you to say that if you're involved with someone like that, right, that is, no good. They don't like their life. They're miserable. They're dealing, it's like just their behavior, their attitude, how they see the world is all kind of screwed up. It's calling you to ask, why are you dealing with that? And you have to say to yourself, there's some part of you that's making decisions to deal with that. You choose it. And it's like most times it's because of emotional investment. It's not because it makes logical sense. And oftentimes most people know it doesn't make logical sense, but they're doing it anyways. Why? Because of emotions. So if you're in that predicament, what do you think is going to happen to your overall attitude down the road? Coming back to what I just talked about in relation to the star. It's crushing. It destroys you. It's toxic for a reason. So that is the theme here. It's challenging a new way of thinking, a new way to see the truth about things you've been dealing with. Is it you really acknowledging it? And people, and I'm guilty of this myself, but I mean, it's acknowledging issues and problems and actually talking about, discussing it, whatever. And it's almost in some ways confirmation that I know. But do you? Because when spirit looks at it, you're getting watched, what you're doing on a day to day, what you're thinking about. So it's kind of like you can fool everyone else around you, but can you fool that guy up there? Or wherever you are, I guess. But you get the picture. All right? Universe can't be fooled. So it's bringing it out for some reason. All right? What is the first card we need to know for our collective in relation to the the Ace of Swords going to the Star in Reverse? First card. In relation to the theme of this collective reading, one card. Five of Pentacles. All right. So this can talk about two things here. This is going to be a person that either has just gone through some type of separation or a breakup of some sort, or is going through hard times. This is really the sense of feeling like you are shit out of luck. It's kind of like that point in life where you reach where you're just looking around and you're like, how did I get here? But at the same time, another thing about this card is that there's two people there, and they both look the same. What does that mean? Birds of a feather flock together. So it is also a card that suggests look around. Your environment may be a manifestation of who you're interacting with. Well, I only interact with the best. I know, that's why you sound like a snob. Alright, let's clarify. No, we're not clarifying, sorry. I said I wasn't going to clarify. Alright. What comes after the Five of Pentacles? So this is some challenge, hardship that a person's dealing with. Once again, we have Star in Reverse, which we covered extensively. So, proceeding, carrying on from that, Five of Pentacles. It's kind of like, I'm done. I mean, what do I do? Nothing I can do. It's like, it's just the same story. Parents are the same way. The dog always pees in the same place, even knows that I don't want it, but just does it. Somehow opens the door. It's not me. Okay. What proceeds after the Five of Pentacles? The Sun in Reverse. Oh, I mean, this is misery written all over this. This is a person that must be very dissatisfied with everything around them. Perhaps not entirely. This is a quiet misery. I don't suspect that this is referring to, based on what I'm seeing here, so much about physical and materialistic things. It's kind of like I said. This is what's painting the picture here. So one would ask, the sun in reverse can definitely talk about people that are depressed, feel that, what's the point? Who cares? But can also perceive, I mean, whatever's going through their mind can change how they perceive the environment. In other words, that even if they're in, they have more than most, it's not a mansion. I live in an apartment. Well, that's not bad. There's a lot of homeless people out there, but it's not a house. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can choose how to kind of perceive things. It's like getting sushi. I really wanted sushi, and I got sushi, but it's not from this restaurant, so it's not that good. I'm like, well, there's a lot of people who probably have never had sushi because it's damn expensive. Yeah, yeah, but it's not what I wanted. It's like, what I'm saying? You can find those reasons if you look hard enough. Yeah, but you don't understand because you have to know I'm different. Yeah. The I'm different thing, it's unique to me. It only happens to me because of what I've experienced. That's you and every last other person. So, no. Unfortunately, there's always going to be someone beyond you that's going to be able to trump your story. Trust me. Um, it's like, when you really think about it, the average person, when it's like they're kind of just explaining some unique situation that nobody's really experienced, it's like, how many people out of the 7 billion on this earth have you actually talked to? Oh, I've spoke to a lot of people. Is that 7 billion? I mean, it's a lot. Is it 7 billion? It's like, I don't, well, maybe like 100 or something. Yeah. Put it into perspective and be real with yourself. I mean, these reads are obviously not, it's hopefully it's not like in front of a giant audience or something that's watching with you, but in your own time, it's like you have to be real with yourself. I mean, what is your attitude, your opinion? Is it just always happening to me? Is that what the reason is? Only you? Wouldn't be because of anything you're doing, right? Nothing to do with that. And this isn't to say that, it couldn't be related to something that really just was a right hook out of left field. It happens. But then again, we'll come back to the same story. Who doesn't? Every person has a blow. Every person has shit that happens to them. But I just feel in some ways this is kind of talking about a situation that is generating, I mean, just a wave of misery in some ways. It's a misery machine. But it's kind of coming from, it's being like introduced because of self-sabotage in some ways. In other words, it's because of something the person's doing. It's not just happening because life just want to take like a crap on them or something. So I think this is going to be challenging for some people to really kind of figure out if it really applies to them or not, but you'll know who you are. What comes after the sun in reverse? What comes after the sun in reverse? In relation to the theme. The High Priestess. Ooh. So this is a pit stop in the I might be going in the right direction. The High Priestess here is suggesting in some ways possible silence. In other words, whoever this person is, or whoever it's applying to, may be in constant bouts of, well, not bouts, but realms of their mind. Essentially, they are exploring and thinking possibilities or what they're trying to find answers. It's like somebody going through an endless vat or void of emotions and things like that and trying to make sense of it all. Where do I start? What do I do? How do I feel? What should I focus on? Or what is important? What's not important? It's like the endless kind of like trying to figure out this complicated puzzle that almost seems like it could never be solved. Um, there's no time limit on how long you can spend in there. But one would ask, why would somebody do that? Well, this moon that's kind of in the background here, although it's not a full moon, does kind of describe that there could be a lot of unknowns within the mind. Just remember that the water within the card represents emotion. That's what you know, and obviously where do we find emotion within the brain? Some tarot reader at some point mentioned that, and I don't know if it's true or not, because I've kind of seen different explanations. But these pillars here represent the one person kind of said it was like some type of old religious representation, and another person said it was the subconscious and conscious mind. To me, with this card, that makes more sense because this woman's in her mind. It could be a man or woman, but it's just representing that she's dabbling between what she doesn't know about herself and what she does. Where do I, fit in with people? How do I feel about myself, yet alone others? What do I want? What do I want to aspire to? It's like a constant confusion and a constant game, you know? And the mind isn't always an illuminated place. It's dark for a reason. It's a lot of what, as I said, why the moon was there. It's fears, unknowns, the possibilities of things that could, the monster that you don't know is there. Because why? We've already experienced enough knives in our back. Why would we want more? So maybe if we just don't find out and don't do anything about it, we won't have to have more. On the other hand, I suppose things won't get better. But that's okay. It's kind of a quiet, like I said, a quiet misery. And a card dropped out. What is it? The Sun upright. So it's probably also pointing out here that in relation to the High Priestess, this is a person. After I just start talking about the darkness, we have the sun coming out. Come on, this must be talking about somebody that needs to change their mindset to start once again seeing reality for what it is, seeing the truth in things, which again I already spoke about in the beginning with the theme. What does the sun do? It illuminates. It makes all clear. In other words, that perhaps one's mind is overly consumed with the wrong kind of thinking, as I just mentioned, and needs a shift in attitude. How do you do that, Wes? I mean, how did you learn to walk? How did you ride a bike? You figured it out, So it's one of those things, though, when you really look back onto it, you didn't look at the other kids and say, yeah, that's for them, I fell out that tree that one time, and it's been years since I've been getting over that, and, my potential to ride a bike is just never going to happen. I mean, really, people, no, unless you were like, honestly, maybe there's people out there that were really shafted. Maybe they couldn't get a bike or something like that. Okay, you're the exception. But for the average person, learning to do something at a young age was always something that was enthusiastic. You wanted to do it. And even when you failed, and like I said, you hurt yourself, injured yourself, your parents would do what? Get back and do it. Okay? And I'm sorry for anyone that had a bad childhood. But once again, regardless, even if your childhood was bad, if you're at the point where you can make decisions for yourself, do things, you have the ability to change and do what you want to do. So even if it is past issues, saying about like, I'm always thinking about this stuff because of what happened to me. It's like this, life was doing me. It's like I couldn't even get the condom on, and I was already getting screwed. It's one of those things, and it's like this attitude of like, I just didn't have a choice. Well, that can really once again influence your thinking because it's like this perception that I'm justified in thinking like this. It's just how it is. It's just my everyday life. I wake up like this, go to bed like this. So what do you expect? And it's like, what do you think like the world's gonna do about it? The world's not gonna come and say, that is so horrible. Oh my God, I need to help you. Donald Trump, your life is going to get better, I promise. It's like, no, the president's not going to do anything about it. And, like I said, you have to manage things on your own sometimes. Start with looking at it in a positive light. Have you considered doing that? Wes, I don't know how to do that, and I don't know where to start. Well, that's probably why this is the theme. A new way of thinking. Just saying. What is influencing? Let's ask a. I've only got two more cards that I'm going to pull, and then we're going to end it there. But let's first find out what is influencing this kind of dark energy, or why. Well, the deck just kind of like spazzed out, so that probably means it needs a recalibration, a reshuffle. All right. What is causing this energy that we're seeing on the board? Why, or whoever this applies to, why is there this pessimistic or dark energy? Oh, lordy lord, the Eight of Swords. This is a person that feels stuck. So, I don't know if I really should talk too much about that card because I feel like I've almost taken a bat and beaten your head, silly, already. When you listen to Aurawest Tarot, it kind of feels like this. Your hands bound and you don't have a choice. You have to hear the truth. I can't click off. I tried. I understand, folks. It's hard. And no, that can't be done, but what we're talking about here can. So that's the positive news. With the Eight of Swords, it does talk about oftentimes somebody that is being plagued, once again, by past experiences, current situations. It's the identity they create, the life they live, what they do. Birds of a feather flock together. It's the folks you hang around. If you got four people robbing banks, you'll be the fifth. It's one of those situations, but guess what comes with that? Bad decisions, bad lifestyle decisions, all of that stuff. Your behavior, day after day after day after day, basically molds you, who you are, right? It's what you know about yourself. If you started bad habits 1 year ago, 1 year later, it's going to look like normal life. Like everything is just, that's how life is, all right? But at the same time, you reach that point eventually where it's like there's so many like issues going on that it's like impossible to ignore. And it's like, it just, think about this. We're talking about the theme here, Ace of Swords, right? There's a hell of a lot of swords here. So many, in fact, that she can't even move. And not only that, somehow those swords tied a blindfold around her, so she can't even see what she needs to know. In other words, like, it's just so much going through the head. And the issue that comes with that is that decisions that get you into financial hardships, depressed moods, poor attitudes, lost in your mind, come from huge amounts of issues, like I said, from everyday issues that situations you've got yourself into, people you associate with, jobs that just suck that you shouldn't be there anymore, thinking that's outdated, old, that you haven't changed, and then also people that carry stuff for an eternity. And unfortunately, this does apply to, especially to people that are constantly have kind of would sit down and say, like, in some ways, they have past issues from this, that, and this. And it's like, when I talk about this, I do myself as well. So I'm not ever implying like I'm a saint here, folks. Some people are like, oh, what about you? It's like, yeah, I never on this channel admit that something couldn't apply to me. But I'm just saying that we all do it in some ways, at some point in our lives, some longer than others. All right? If you're one of those people, it's asking you to really assess, how bad has it got? Has it got to the point where you're blindfolded and feel stuck? You can't get out of your mind. There's so much stress and you feel like everything's crashing down. I mean, that would explain this if you ask me. I mean, does this look... I mean, think about this. If this is an optimism of life and, your passion, your dream, where can it go? What does my heart desire? What is the possibilities of life? Does this woman look like she's in that position to do that? Very restricted? Don't have the choice? Poor me because I have no choice? I have this going on for me. And, this happened, unfortunately. My car got repossessed. Well, it probably was because you didn't pay for it. Yeah, but it was someone else. This person that was toxic for me was supposed to pay it and they didn't. Well, why were you with them? It's a long story because I had to. There was no choice. This is kind of what it's talking about. It can be like the endless cycle of trying to, it's self-sabotaging in the way that it's justified insanity. You're essentially justifying and giving permission to keep doing insane shit. And then when it comes to examining that, you're saying, I won't examine it because there is nothing I can do. But then it's saying, not actually true. I beg to differ. Well, what is it talking about? I don't know. Exactly. Just think about that. Just saying. Just saying. Give me the next card after the High Priestess in relation to the theme. What do we need to know? What is the fourth card we need to know? Collective reading. Six of Swords. Strong indicator that if you follow the advice, and for some of you may already be doing this. This could be a person that is already in a positive attitude. Changing their mind. Making changes. The Five of Pentacles can really talk about that something came to an end. It burned down. Distance. It doesn't always have to be losing a job or financial hardship. It could be, like I said, it could have been a lover or a breakup. Separation. It feels sucks, or I mean, not feel sucks. It sucks when you're on the outs from somebody that you had a lot of history with or emotional investment in. It sucks if you have a job that you worked at for 10 years and you got, like I said, got fired or you had to leave for one reason or another. It can put you in difficult situations you never asked for and don't want to be in. Okay? And especially if you've had it happen more than once. I mean, it just starts to almost be like that stuck, broken tape that just replays the same nightmare over and over again. So maybe, you've kind of reached the point where you've kind of said something has to change, and the sun could also be talking about you in that case. Thinking about the possibilities of what I could have, what could be. So for some of you out there, it's going to be you haven't got to that point yet of what you could have in the positive side of life. And for others of you, you're on the cusp of it. And so the Six of Swords is really telling us here that, well, whichever way or situation you're in, there's always a boat leaving for somewhere else. All right? But just remember, don't let your mind, subconscious or conscious, confuse you with fear and worry, because this journey also has the same issues ahead. In other words, you don't know everything you need to know within your mind, but when you go on this journey, you're not going to know it either. So don't expect it and allow your mind to paralyze you from doing it. I guess that was a little bit more over-explained there, but essentially it's like talking yourself out of doing something. And in this case, it is suggesting, yeah, you might have some rocky, currents or something like that when you're trying to figure out how to do your transition, whether it's be like getting out of a relationship. There's going to be variables on how to do that, right? It may not be an overnight process, but if you're just avoiding the issue, when are you going to start? If ever. So you have to get in the boat at some point and just accept that, yeah, there's going to be factors that unfortunately may be pretty crappy that, he or she might do this or do that. I don't know. But you can't obviously try and wait it out and hope that next year maybe you'll find the answer. For all you know, it could go on for 10 years. So you have to take the chance at some point and just deal with it. Whatever comes will come. But the intention is for the positive. It's that there's something out there that you don't know about. And the only question at that point is really and truly, do you deal with a known hell or do you go to an unknown heaven? In other words, your choice. Because it's like, for all you know, this journey might just be sunshine and rainbows, the entire way. But on the other hand, maybe it does have some ups and downs. But whatever the case is, deal with it. It's life. All right. But the first step is get started. Especially if you're someone that's stuck by analysis. You're always analyzing this situation, or your time is always thinking about this relationship that never goes fucking anywhere, or this job that is clearly like draining and sucking the life out of you. Trying to figure out the perfect story is going to take forever, especially when your brain is already on like meltdown, for God's sakes. I mean, if you're in this energy, I mean, I ask yourself this. I mean, how effective do you think your brain is right now? If you're really in this energy, does this look like somebody that can plan well? It might be calling you just to say, like, yeah, it's not going to be perfect, as I said, but just do it. Brought to you by Nike. No, I'm just kidding. There's no advertising here. Someone will be like, "Were you really paid by them?" Just do it. Just kidding. Just kidding. Don't do that. All right, last card. Last card. What do we need to know about the last card for the theme of this reading? Conclude this. So, does it look overall kind of in some ways suggesting something positive for some of you that will take the leap to just take a chance. And if you are one of those people, as I said, trying to change your mindset, planning on getting the boat, keep doing what you're doing. Getting confirmation here. One more card to end this reading. Going in relation to the Ace of Swords, upright for the team, going to the Star in Reverse. One last card. Nine of Wands. What a whopper, folks. What this is directly telling you is, in my books, the pretty much confirmation of what I just told you was accurate. This journey may have ups and downs, right? There may be a lot of things that are going to discourage you. There's going to be challenges that have been ingrained over time. There's going to be ways of thinking that you don't want to get rid of. There's going to be, like I said, a mindset shift that is going to be a radical change from what you know now. How you're going to get it is up to you. If you want it, if you want to explore it, if you want it, you have to explore it first, is what I meant to say. The only way you're going to do that is you're going to have to really dig and find out what you actually don't know. How do you do that? Start by asking other people, what do you see when you look at me? How do I talk? Do you notice anything? If you give me an honest opinion to help me grow as a person, how I talk and what my attitude is, it might give you some feedback. Well, I kind of perceive that I'm this way. What is your opinion of that? I never ask you. Actually, I've never asked you ever. Yeah, my opinion is that you pretty much only talk about yourself. Oh, well, that explains that. That could be an example there, folks. So find out what you don't know, all right? But the Nine of Wands here is suggesting it will be an uphill battle, okay, at times. The hardest obstacle, and I'm not surprised in any way that this came out, is that the first step is getting in the boat, and the second step is not turning back, which is why you see this card. Some people just kind of, they kill themselves to finally get to the point of like getting on a roller coaster, right? They finally get in there, and what is the first thing for some of them? I gotta get out, and they get out. And it's like they went through the entire line, got right up to it, got in it, and it's like, just couldn't do it. They turned around, they gave up. But it's like, come on, for any of you that have gone with it, that just conquered it, by the time you're done, you're like, I want to go again. I want to do it again. Because why? A lot of fears, unknowns, but you enjoyed it. You found that there was something better at the end of it, right? It's the same concept here. But yes, you're going to go through some fears. You're going to go through some challenges. You're going to go through some rocky times. You're going to have things that you haven't encountered because why? You've lived a life a certain way for so long. But don't give up. Even if you feel fatigued, drained, or you feel like the classic wounded warrior, all right? This is also something that does also describe importance of standing up for what you want. Unfortunately, with the Nine of Wands, this guy is also in some ways wounded because of the fact that when you go and pursue something that is challenging, you might get the reward and you might start to see the improvements. But just know that there are bloodthirsty leeches that would love to drain the life out of you, all right? And if you give them the opportunity, you can find yourself in the same situation and cycle. Make no mistake, everyone gets tested and re-challenged. Did you really learn anything, or is this kind of just a fad? Something that you decided to basically, hey, I need to just try it. Maybe the motivation was there for a day or two, and it's like kind of, you just kind of just lost the faith after a while and kind of reverting back to old ways. People do that a lot, unfortunately, in life. I've done it myself. But the issue is when you're trying to sell it to other people. You know, they're going to see right through that charade, and people will test you, you know. Will you stand up for it, or will you cave? Well, if you cave, they'll know you weren't really serious about it, you know. But somebody that really wants to make it to the finish line, like any athlete, they will go to the bitter end. They don't, you know, rain or shine or whatever like that. If there's a crazy storm out there, or um, there's something bad that happened, it's like they always find a way to push through and make it. And this is kind of one of those things that's indicating here is that if you really want it, there is something that can really transition your life, and what you want is there. It's just a question of, do you want it or not? How bad? And like I said, if you do want it, expect there's going to be challenges, but the first step, as I said, about 17, probably 18 times at this point, you gotta make a start somewhere. Even if you don't have, even if the plan sucks, find some way to just take one action step at a time. It's very important because it will help motivate you and likely put you in this energy to keep going. Otherwise, you know, hopefully we're not going to see a reading where it's this, just giving up and going back and parking the boat. Don't be that person. Know that you can change things, but it's up to you. Hopefully you got something out of this reading, but just remember the theme in relation to everything I discussed here. Before actually, and I should have really said this before you actually do get in that boat, just remember you got to change. You got to come up with new ideas. You got to change that mind of yours. And coming back to the High Priest as well, there's something has to change up here for you to really, you know, make the decision to take that first step. So that's probably how I should have explained it. Anyways, this is way longer than it was supposed to be. I'll try, you know, I wanted this to be like a 20-minute video. And of course, it's 37. So if you enjoyed that, give me a like. If not, if it didn't apply to you, well, hope you still got something out of it. I don't know what, but thanks, guys. I'll see you soon.